This is Dateline News and Conversation. My guest tonight is an old friend. We met many years ago. She's a journalist, a professional journalist. She's from the Netherlands. She's been banned in her country. She's been living in Russia and Moscow now for, well, I can't remember how many years, but it's quite a few. She's a fearless journalist. She has been embedded with the Russian military to report on the special military operation. My guest is Sonja van den Ende. Sonja, welcome back to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me, Regis.
Well, it's always a pleasure, and Sonja, quite frankly, it's been too long. So let's catch up. You are a persona non grata in your country of the Netherlands. Tell me about that. When and why did that happen?
Well, I came to Russia in 2022, 1 week after the special military operation started, and supposedly for a conference. But then all the sanctions came already after 1 week. Imagine that. It was very quickly. So I was not able to go back to the Netherlands or Germany. At that time I lived there. So I waited, and then they offered me to go and see for myself to the Donbass, where embedded what you said with the Russian army. And well, when I came back, they started in the media and everywhere speaking about me, that, collaborating with the Russian regime and so on. So they advised me here, stay a bit longer, and I did. And I went back to the Donbass, I think 10, 12 times after that. And of course, in between, it got worse in the Netherlands. I'm not, I must say, not on the European sanction list like many of my colleagues. Thank God for that, because that's really a hassle if you go on that. But okay, I'm person non grata in my own country, because they speak in the media about when I would be back, they can extradite me to Ukraine and all this kind of rubbish, I must say. So and because of that, I'm still in Russia. It's not a crime to be in Russia, of course, and it is also very nice to be in Russia. So I'm here now, 4 years, nearly 4 years, next February, March. So
So,
yeah,
what
that's
is your political status? Are you in exile? Do you have political protection? What's your legal status?
well, I have permanent residency, so I'm okay. And I still have my passport, my Dutch passport. So I'm lucky, because I had to renew or get a new passport last year. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to my embassy and ask for a new passport. And well, what's a miracle? They gave it to me. So, and upon that, I have a permanent residency. So that's okay. So I'm okay here. After a while, you can apply for a Russian passport if you want, after I think 3 4 years. So I have no problem right now for that. But okay,
Yeah, well,
I'm protected. Yeah, but okay. I mean, of course, everybody who's here, like from Europe, I think they are protected somehow. It should be, and they do that. I know.
well, for people who don't understand, permanent residency provides you and me as well. I have permanent residency, all the rights of Russians, including free health care. The only thing we can't do is vote yet. You have to have citizenship for that.
Hmm.
So I want to rewind. I want to go back several years. Um,
Hmm.
as I
Yeah.
recall, Sonja, you were reporting, if I'm not mistaken, from Syria. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. During the presidency of Bashar al-Assad, I went there to report about how what they call in the West a civil war, but actually was a coup d'état or proxy war from the West, from the US, and of course Europe also. And I was there many, many times. And we see now the result. Unfortunately, it's after 14 years of struggle, we can say it's. Also for me was a big blow that it collapsed. It was another coup, we can say, another coup d'etat from Turkey, Israel, the United States in 2024, and of course with collaboration of Europe. So it's horrible what happened now, and we see it happening with a lot of countries now, that they just, the axis of resistance, you call it, it's collapsing, and it's very painful, very painful.
So, Sonja, I want to ask you, as a citizen of the Netherlands, a citizen of Europe, the European Union, what are your thoughts on the stability now of the European Union? From where I sit, and I'm in Yalta, Crimea, so I don't read American news. I do get reports from different places in the EU, but they seem to be fractured, especially over this vote where they wanted to, von der Leyen wanted to steal Russia's assets, a couple $100 billion worth, and that vote failed. Viktor Orban and others, they mutinied. They didn't go along with von der Leyen. So my question to you is not specifically about that vote, but do you see that the European Union is now somewhat fractured? And what do you see as the future of the European Union?
Well, it's fractured, yes, between, let's say, Western Europe, so the Netherlands, Germany, France, Belgium, and those countries, and the East, former East Bloc, like Hungary, Slovakia, also the Czech Republic now. Italy is a different thing. I think they are also, some things they do support, some things not, and it's a divided bloc. I think personally that this whole bloc should be, it should be reorganized, or it should fall, because it has no use for the people. It's people sitting there just to earn money. This is the truth at the moment. There are a lot of corruption cases, like we had now with Ursula von der Leyen. We had those other things, two ladies, Metsola and another one. It's continuously. And I think at the moment, Western European countries want to wage war on Russia. This is their rhetoric. I don't know if they're really going to do it, but we see and wait. Is that what they're saying every day? I think it should fall. The whole European Union should be abolished or reorganized into something what it was mentioned for. It was meant to be a union for trade, for culture, language, and so on, but not this. This is a war bloc, and it's going against Russia, but also it's going against its own people. Press freedom, it's all gone. So they have the new digital wall, what else? A drone wall, all these things. It's based on like they are at war, and it's crazy. So I think it's divided, and the European Union was very afraid of Belgium. I wrote a whole article about it, that Belgium confiscated the money from Gaddafi in Libya in 2011, and they spent it on weapons for Congo and other things. I think some people of the European Union bought art from it. Imagine this. So this is a huge case. It was a huge case, and Belgium was afraid if this would happen, confiscating the money from Russia, that they will have another court case and many problems, retaliation. So it should be abolished, the whole European Union. It's my opinion.
That's my opinion too. Having lived in Italy in the late 1960s and early 1970s, there was no European Union. They were independent, sovereign countries. Yes, you didn't have visa-free travel. There wasn't one currency. But in my opinion, each of those countries retained their sovereignty, their cultural differences. their autonomy. And from where I'm sitting now, it looks like it's all gone. They're subservient to these unelected bureaucrats in Brussels. And I want to ask you now about NATO. Uh, Obviously, uh, I think all or most of these European countries are involved in NATO. If the EU is divided and fractured and looking like it might not have a future, uh, do you think the same thing is happening with NATO? When people like Viktor Orban is saying that we don't want to be sending any more money to Ukraine. We want to take care of our own national interest and our own sovereignty and take care of the people in Hungary. The same thing in Slovakia, Slovenia, Czechoslovakia, as you mentioned. So, what do you think the future of NATO is? And not just in terms of the EU, but Sonja, doesn't all of this focus now on this conflict in Ukraine to take down President Putin in Russia? Doesn't it all rotate around that?
Yeah, exactly. That's what its focus is on. And I mean, we hear in the media all this talk about, the US is abandoning NATO and Europe has to do it by its own and so on. But I cannot see it. I hear from people in Germany, NATO, the US still is in NATO. There's still a big, large NATO base in Germany, in many places in Germany, but also in other places. Think of Romania. This is where they want to, invade Russia. I mean, this is what they speak about. They say it's for not invading Russia, for the protection of Europe and so on. And we know all this rhetoric from NATO. But I mean, for the moment, I don't see it will be abolished soon because they put all this big material, this big effort, these weapons all in Romania. And they just built the biggest or the largest NATO base for the whole of Europe there. So imagine this. And they are going now saying, okay, we stop with NATO. I don't see that. I think that NATO has become also a new war bloc, like the European Union, but a real war bloc. And the most power, of course, is in the US. We also have Germany, who is now producing weapons on a big scale. I don't know if that's true because, of course, I'm not in Europe anymore, but that's what I hear. And the Netherlands, country where I'm from, is allegedly having so many drones or building so many drones together with Ukraine. They have these factories from the Azov steel plant, and they know it's not worthwhile anymore to make it a factory for steel and so on. So they have now weapon factories there or drone factories, and they're pretty good at it, unfortunately. So I don't see them giving it up very soon. And if can hear the rhetoric from Mark Rutte, the former Dutch prime minister, he keeps on going. I mean, last week he was saying that there's a war coming and it's even more terrible than our parents or grandparents have ever experienced. And by that he meant, of course, the Second World War. So, I mean, this is the rhetoric what they are using every day. And it's crazy. It's frightening for a lot of people. I hear people saying to me, from the Netherlands or Germany, what is going on? I mean, this is not normal. I mean, we have a fest in the Netherlands. It's something like Christmas man. It's called Sinterklaas. The small children get presents from Sinterklaas and so on. Well, this year they got a rescue package with things in there to survive a war. Imagine these small children from 5, 6 years old. So this is what is going on. So I don't see that NATO will be abolished soon. I don't see it.
Boy, that's incredible. Small children getting emergency packages at Christmas. And, Starmer and this general in England telling the British people, the English people, to prepare for suffering because we're going to go to war. This war talk, Sonja, is extremely dangerous. But the question I have for you is, do you think that the people from Portugal, from Spain, from France, Italy, all the way across to the east, in Slovakia, Slovenia, Czechoslovakia. Do you think these people really believe this? That they have to go to war against Russia? Do they really believe that the Russians want to attack them? That they're the enemy? This is the thing that baffles my mind. I know the American people, for the most part, believe that, but do you think that the European people believe this?
No, I don't think the people believe this. I mean, even in the Netherlands and Germany, where the propaganda is really high, people are not believing it. People or oppose it actually, because I can see, on various social media, or I hear from friends, if I still have friends in the Netherlands, family, my son in Germany. I hear a lot of people are against it, and I think it's how can this be? I mean, first you had the COVID propaganda, and 1 week later they start with this war actually in Ukraine. That's what they call it, war. And now it's only propaganda about going to war, and people should join the military. And but you see, the AfD in Germany, this Partei Alternative für Deutschland, it became very large now. I mean, especially in former Eastern Germany, but people are not buying it. I mean, a lot of people think, what is going on? You should just go and have somehow a diplomatic solution, or leave it, and it's a matter of Russia and Ukraine, and not of Europe actually. But I think, and my guess is that Europe is bankrupt. A lot of countries are bankrupt. Germany is bankrupted. The situation there is terrible. It's deindustrialization everywhere. Huge companies are closing. In the Netherlands, I think about 50 companies left already since last year. Companies. So because their idea is to have a new Green New Deal and a new society where everything is without fossil fuels, solar energy, electrical cars. But yeah, now they see it wrong, because Russia surrendered like Soledar and other settlements or towns in Ukraine. And there was the lithium, for instance, in some towns, or what they need for electrical cars or other things. So they see it all going down the drain, actually. And this is terrible for them. So what they do now is making people crazy with war. But actually, their economies are bad. So they have to do some kind of destruction, and they have to find a new kind of economy, and this is the war economy, and this is producing weapons like the US always did, and this is how they thrive at the moment. That's how it is.
Yeah, the thing that I can't get over is, how can people like Starmer, like Macron, like Merz in Germany, like von der Leyen, who is unelected bureaucrat, a tyrant really, have they not learned their lessons from what happened in World War I and World War II, when that entire continent suffered terribly, was demolished, had to be rebuilt from scratch? I just can't. I don't understand it. It's insane. Well, I want to ask you now, Sonja, what's been the focus of your reporting lately?
Well, exactly about what you said. It's about peace settlement, trying to get peace settlement between Ukraine and Russia. Well, the US is involved, and also, of course, about Europe, what we have just discussed about all these crazy people who are politicians in Europe. As what you said, are they normal, or why are they doing this? I mean, they are radicalized, in my opinion, or they pretend to be radicalized. And yeah, and also my focus is still on Ukraine, still on actually the Donbass. I was not there because the war is quite different than it was in the beginning. I mean, the special operation, but we can call it war because it's a war from Europe. It was a war from the US, a proxy war. It still is, in my opinion. But it's a drone war now, so you cannot go in easily anymore. it's very dangerous now, and they will not let people. The Russian army will not let people in and to go there and to see it, because I sometimes see videos and so on that when you have like the latest one, Pokrovsk or Krasnoyarsk, you can see all these nets around highways, villages surrounding it. So you cannot, drive normally there or enter normally there. It's a drone war, and this is what has changed dramatically, I think, since 1 year. So, but I'm still reporting about it, although I'm not there.
Okay, we're talking
And of
about
course,
this. Yeah, we're talking about this war in Ukraine, and I know that Russia calls it a special military operation. I understand that. From Russia's perspective,
mhm.
it's not an all-out war. Uh, Russia has articulated its goals repeatedly since 2022. Most people, well, I'm going to repeat it because I don't think most people remember it. Number one is demilitarization. Number two is denazification. Number three is the complete neutrality of Ukraine, no NATO ever. And then there's what I call the elephant in the room, the root causes of this conflict, which go back to 1990 and 91, and the promise to Gorbachev after the fall of the Soviet Union and the reunification of Germany, NATO would not move 1 inch east towards Russia. Ever since Bill Clinton came in, NATO has advanced and surrounded numerous former Soviet republics, as you mentioned earlier, now in Moldova, in Poland. They have nuclear missiles. They have tens of thousands of troops, new bases now, not only in Moldova, but my God, in Sweden and Finland. Um, this is, um, in my view, absolute insanity. And in my view, this is all the work of many people are not saying this right now. It's the work of the United States and Great Britain, the CIA and MI6. And their goal has been and is now the complete destruction of Russia, to get rid of Putin, and to steal Russia's assets. I wonder if you would agree with that, Sonja.
Yes, of course. This was the idea, this was the goal, and still is the goal. From the beginning, what you said, 1991, the fall of the Soviet Union, and later NATO becoming very big. And recently we have also Georgia, we have Moldova, what you said, and they all became part of NATO. And now they wanted Ukraine, but it's not yet. I can see it this way. It's also always the aim of the United States. It was the aim of the United States. And I mean, maybe something has changed now under Trump. I doubt it, but okay, that's my opinion. I think that he still has a deep state behind him, like guys like Lindsey Graham and the other ones who still preach war on the internet everywhere. If you look at it, they still have the same ideology. They still say the same things. And okay, Trump is a businessman. In my idea, he's not a president really, because presidents need to know something from politics, and I think he does not know a lot of politics, but okay, he's learning. Maybe you're never too old to learn. But he is a businessman, and he is preoccupied with deals. And I think, in his opinion, a peace deal is a business deal. I mean, we saw it with Gaza. He's making a peace deal where it's no peace there. We know that every day we see it. Every day we see people getting killed. So there's no peace deal. He made it possible that there's a terrorist in Syria right now, Al-Jolani. And he's just very nice and he's a very tough guy, he said. Well, he's a terrorist. They just removed him from the list, the 10 million bounty on his head. So he is actually making some plans, but the people behind him, I call it the deep state, you know what I mean? It's they who are, saying we still want, and this is still actually going on, because if Trump had the power and he really wanted a peace deal with Russia, he would say to Europe, no way, you're not going to buy weapons from me, because with these weapons you attack Russia, and I'm now in the middle of making a peace deal. But he's continuing doing this, or his government. So, and I think if he's really wanting that, and he really had the power, and he wanting that, of course, then he should have stopped it, or should stop it, because then you can get a
Yeah,
peace deal. Otherwise,
yeah,
no.
I
It's
agree.
because still weapons are going there.
Yeah,
This is the whole problem.
I agree with you, and I believe that Trump is a creature of the deep state. It was only because of the deep state that he became president. There's no way, without all of that power and that influence, that someone like him, a real estate shyster, a businessman, as you say, could ever rise to the most powerful position in the entire world, the president of the United States. So let's get back to this peace plan. I have called it a fake. A friend of mine has called it a peace prank. There's no deal at all in that plan. I've analyzed it, I'm sure you have. There are at least 6 different points in that peace plan that Russia could not and never could accept. And the one that I keep going back to, forget the territories. Russia said not negotiable. Okay? The point number 27, Trump has appointed himself as the head of a peace council that will govern the future in Ukraine and Russia. It's the same joke that he did with his peace plan, the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. He's the head of the council that is supposed to oversee that. And as you mentioned, we can see what's happened. There's no ceasefire, there's no peace at all. And so I think this thing is so ludicrous. I can't believe that some of these very influential podcasters in the United States are buying this. It's garbage. It is beyond belief that they would think that Trump is sincere about peace. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Sonja? And I'd like your opinion, your perspective, because you're sitting in Moscow. I keep asking people,
President Trump himself.
how does all of this appear to President Putin and the people surrounding him in the Kremlin? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's a big show to begin with. As a show, it's like a Hollywood show from the US, and yeah, I know it's getting worse. I can hear you now, but sometimes you are gone. I don't know why, but because the internet is stable here.
I've had trouble. I've had trouble recently with unstable internet, and I really don't know what it is.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on how the Kremlin and Putin are viewing this peace plan and these peace initiatives?
I think they just speak to him, and I think it's very pragmatic what President Putin is doing. He's going along with Trump, and I think it's more about business, to tell you the truth, than it's going about peace, because it's clear Russia is pursuing its goals. In what you said, its goals in the Donbass. It's what they want. It's what Putin all the time says. We said in in 2023, he went there for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, lined out the peace plan, or the plan what should be done in the Donbass, all the goals what should be met, and this is still going on. The 4 republics, or still republics, but okay, autonomous republics, but now Russia, they have to be liberated. and this is what we voted for in September 2022, and this is the aim. And denazifying, that's what you said, and demilitarizing Ukraine, and these are still the goals. And I think, I don't know if the Americans, I mean, this administration understands something from Ukraine. Most likely some do. But I mean, they come up with another plan all the time. It's actually an old plan. It's like the Europeans do the same. Then they say, okay, now we have the 20-point peace plan. If actually it's a war plan. But okay, this is what they continuously are doing. And it's ridiculous because it's like a bad show. I mean, maybe a lot of people are buying it, but the ones who are thinking a bit clearly, the people who are, following geopolitics or following this war, know that it's actually it's stupid. It's really, in my opinion, too. It's nothing. It's not really a peace plan. And as I always say, when there should be a peace, it's between Ukraine and Russia. And the US and Europe are mediators, but not making the peace. And Russia should say, okay, we met the goals there in the Donbass, and that's it. And now we sit with Zelensky or maybe somebody else because they prefer to see another guy, of course, or woman in Ukraine. And we speak with you and we make peace on our terms, but not what the US wants or not what Europe wants. And I think this is how it should be done. But it's like a show, and sometimes a very bad show, what is going on in the media everywhere.
Yeah. It is like a clown show, like a comedy house. When you really, if you can objectively look at what's going on and what's being said, you really have to sit back and laugh, although it's tragic, but you have to sit back and laugh at how ridiculous all of this is. I want to ask you a comment on something else that has to do with this U.S. Attempt to reestablish relationships with Russia. Now, it's been in the news here and in the United States that this Steve Witkoff, longtime buddy and ally of Trump in New York City, a real estate shyster, just like Trump, Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, an investment banker, a real estate developer, they have their eyes on a Trump Atlantic City casino on the bones of the Palestinians on the Mediterranean, with a nice Trump golf course and probably a Mar-a-Lago mansion of Trump. And when you listen to what Trump just said about Crimea, well, the insane thing he said is it's surrounded by 4 oceans. It just shows you how ignorant he is. He has no idea. Probably he couldn't find it on a map. They gave him a map and they said, oh, look, they have a very temperate climate. Look at this beautiful coastline. And he's thinking in his mind, as you mentioned, deals. Another Trump casino, another Trump golf course, another Trump Mar-a-Lago, right here in Yalta, a couple of kilometers away from Levadia Palace. You can see what's going on in the minds of these guys. And so here, Witkoff and Kushner are shuttling back and forth. They meet with Putin, and Putin smiles and shakes their hands. And he said, well, progress has been made. But, what these guys are trying to do is tempt Putin with all kinds of deals. American investments after the war in Russia, deals on getting their hands on Russia's gas and oil and grain and pesticides and all of the resources. They want deals. And it's got nothing to do with peace. But Sonja, the thing that I keep pointing out, in all of these meetings, you do not see Sergei Lavrov or anybody else from the Russian Foreign Ministry. To me, that says a lot. They're not negotiating peace here. That if that's going on, it's going on behind the scenes. Do you agree with what I just outlined, or do you think it really is happening?
No, I agree fully, and it is. It's about economic deals, what you said. I mean, if you look at it, clearly you can see Kushner and Witkov, but also from the Russian side, it's Kirill Dimitrov. He is the economic envoy aide from President Putin. So it's about economy, about deals in the US. This is the only language they understand in the Trump administration, I think. And what you said, when there is really negotiations about peace, that it's behind closed doors. This is all also what they said here. The Kremlin said that specifically after when they first met, that we can not say anything to the media because deals or peace deals, or it's always done behind closed doors. And this is how Russia is operating for many years already. So what you said, it's a clown show. It's they come here and they say they come for peace, but they come actually for economy, for deals to make. And I think Russia or the Russian president or the Russian government is clever enough to to see this. And well, they play along. This is what we can see. The media plays along, he plays along, and yeah, this is going on forever, not forever, but already months and months and months. They come, they go, he goes there, they come back. And but I think a lot of people understand clearly what is the purpose of this visits, and it's not about peace. And I think, in my opinion, Russia will pursue its goals until the capitulation of Ukraine. And I think what we hear, what we see now, it's that it could not be so far because they are losing a lot on the battlefield. And even though it's going slowly, I mean, it's not going very quickly, but it is going slowly. But maybe that's better. And I think we see a capitulation, and then there will be a peace deal or surrender from Ukraine. I think this is the ultimate goal, and
Yeah,
not
I agree with you.
these peace deals from.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be the complete capitulation, unconditional surrender, not only of Ukraine, but NATO and the United States of America, including Great Britain. That I believe that's how it's going to end. And in terms of the real diplomacy, I think it was Peskov, but he might have been quoting President Putin. He said, "We're not going to engage in bullhorn diplomacy out there in the news." I mean, people forget what Russia's official position has been. That's repeated over and over. And it's very simple. Nothing changes in the language that Russia's been using since 2022. And yet it's so convoluted.
Yeah.
Sonja.
Exactly. And people, there's... Go ahead.
No, I wanted you to finish your thought. Go ahead.
Okay. But you see also, like with Gaza, and this is actually appalling, when you want to build a Mar-a-Lago or whatever he wants to build on the bones of Palestinian people. I mean, how can somebody with a normal mind and some compassion think about doing this or speaking about this already? I mean, this is not normal. Then you are mentally not fit, I think, if you speak about this and so many people, especially children, got killed there. I mean, this is outrageous for me, and I think for a lot of other people as well.
Well, I think you're right, and I agree with you. Now, I'm always living here in Russia, as you are. I'm always looking at everything that's happening from the perspective of what it looks like to Russia. And you just mentioned Gaza. Now, this can't be emphasized enough. Here is President Trump presenting himself as the peace president, looking to create peace around the world. And yet he has unconditionally, overwhelmingly backed Bibi Netanyahu and Israel in this genocide in Palestine. $34 billion a year. And Trump, when Netanyahu comes to Washington, as he just did, Trump is behaving like his acolyte. He's not behaving like the president. He's behaving like Netanyahu is the boss. And from the perspective of Russia, hearing Trump saying, oh, he wants peace in Ukraine, but when Russia looks at what Trump is doing in Palestine, I mean, it's clear this man is a monster. He is not a peacemaker. He's a monster. And then, Sonja, we have to look at what's happened in the last couple of years from the perspective, again, of Putin, of Lavrov, of the Kremlin. Trump has amassed the largest naval armada in the Caribbean off the coast of Venezuela in history. His words, he's come out and he said publicly that Maduro needs to go. He's a democratically elected president. And he came out with the most idiotic lie just this past week when he said that Venezuela stole America's land, property, and oil in Venezuela. He said Venezuela stole it. They nationalized it. It's theirs. It's never been America's. Sonja, from the perspective of Russia, when Trump meets with Putin in Alaska, or the proposed meeting in Helsinki, or wherever they want to meet, from the Russian perspective, is the United States really is not agreement capable. In fact, they are fakes. They are marauders. They are imposters. They are liars. I don't know. What are your thoughts? You're sitting there in Moscow. You're European. You're from the Netherlands. I mean, tell me how you think the Russians see this that I've just outlined.
Well, I think, as you said, it's. I start again that it's a show, and they cooperate with this show. I think here in Russia, because they have a war actually with Europe. They had a war also with the US, of course, still have in some way. But they want normal relations. Of course, it's very hard to get normal relations with a president who says one thing today and another thing tomorrow. This is already a big problem. But okay, because they are, let's put it this way, they are, must not forget, they are still sanctioned also by the US and also by Europe, of course, the 19th package or the 20th. It's I lost count. But they still are under sanctions. And as President Putin said, it's amazing we obtained our sovereignty here in Russia in everything. And this is what really happened I saw it in those nearly 4 years. It was transformed from a pretty Western product society to its own sovereign products and even cars. So this is what happened. And the US, I think, and this is my opinion, and I hope it's true what I can see. We must not forget President Putin came to power in the year 2000. He, he knows everything what happened in 1991. He knows the very terrible period. And he knows that it should never go back to this period. So I think as long as President Putin and some others here in the Kremlin, the older ones, like Lavrov and all the guys who are now ministers, they know what happened. And they know they should not sell their soul, sell their economy to the US. Because you see what they are doing. They are just taking your land. They are overrun your country. And this is what they want to do with Venezuela for years already. Yeah? This is the second attempt. In his first term, he tried and it did not work. So he's now doing it with all lies, because of course Venezuela was not part of the US. It was never. It's an independent country, as you said. But at first it was, I think, another reason. Trump said that he wanted to invade or to get Maduro out of the country. It was because he's a dictator and so on, and now it's the oil. But actually, it's the oil. It's always, it's the oil or the minerals, rare earth minerals. This is what they are after. Because I think, I'm not in the US. I was never. I don't have to be. So no problem with that. But I think the US is also economically not in a good shape. So Trump is now with his mega is trying to old style colonialism. This is what he is doing. And he doesn't know what he's saying. He has no historical perspective. He doesn't know anything about a country or its people. and it's just like overrunning something. And to come back on the Israeli, yeah, he's dominated by the Zionist club, yeah, APEC. I mean, his campaign was paid by Miriam Adelson. She is the richest lady in the US, Jewish. She's from AIPAC, I suppose, also. And she just offered Trump to buy the Golan Heights. The Golan Heights in Syria. So I don't know if it's going to happen or if it's done or not. But imagine this idea. It's like you playing Monopoly. This is what he's doing without any clue about country, culture, people. And this is really bad when people or presidents are acting like this. It's not actually bad. It's a sad story for the American people as well, because they chose somebody who doesn't have a clue about all these things.
Well, I've said many times, and I'm an American, I haven't voted for many years. In fact, I voted for Obama the first time because he was talking about hope and change you can believe in. And so many of us got swept up in that. But when you started watching it, what he did and didn't pay attention to what he said, he was an incredible chameleon, a liar, a Trojan horse. Probably one of the worst presidents the United States has ever had. But I want to get back to Europe now and all of this talk about war. You know, I don't know if you agree with this,
You know, your
but
internet, I think, your internet is going down a little bit, I think. Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to try to hold on here for a couple more minutes that hopefully we can finish. Uh, Putin
Okay.
has said,
Yes.
Putin has said,
Okay. Yeah. You.
if,
Mm-hmm.
Putin has said, if Europe wants war, okay, we're ready. But he said it'll be over in a hurry. This will not be a
Mm-hmm.
conventional World War One and
Mm-hmm.
World War II war as we see happening in Ukraine today. Russia has weapons. I'm not talking about nuclear weapons now, which they have, but they have weapons for which NATO, the United States, has no defense. And if Russia is attacked by NATO or any European country, whether it be those Mickey Mouse states in the Baltics, Estonia, Latvia, uh, it's going to be over in a hurry. And,
Mm-hmm.
whether that is the spark that ignites a nuclear conflagration, because England and France both have nuclear weapons, that's another question. But if they are that
Mm-hmm.
crazy to want to attack Russia, um, I'm afraid, Sonja, that humanity is on the very edge and brink of extinction. What are your final thoughts?
Yes, you're right, and I hope it will not come so far. I hope it will be some sense in these people who call themselves politicians in the West, especially Europe now. I always say they have to be removed and replaced by a new system in Europe, a normal system for the people, like it maybe was in, yeah, many years ago. But of course, we have to do it in a modern way, a new system. And I mean, this is they preach about democracy, about everything, but actually they want war and they blame it on Russia. And it's a very dangerous situation. I mean, they don't have they have nuclear warheads in Europe. I mean, rockets they're stationed in Germany, and some of them are still in the Netherlands. I know that they're all direction to Russia. We know that too. But it's dangerous. I mean, these people are always call them psychiatric patients, because they are not normal, in my opinion. Why are you, as Europeans, speak about war? You had two world wars, and it was so terrible, as we know, especially for Germany, who lost in the end. And yeah, we all know what happened. Of course, we know about how the Zionists, always say, come back to the Holocaust. I mean, it was very terrible, but now they do it themselves, I think, not in this way, not in gas chambers, but they do it on the Palestinian people and try to do it on other people in the Middle East. And as long as the US is bought by these people, by AIPAC, by the Zionists who stir up also Europe, it's so dangerous. We need a whole new somehow system. One is Jewish, one is Arabic. It doesn't matter as long as we have not this kind of people. This is the deep state actually. Yeah, who is doing all these things? I mean, also in the Pentagon in the US. And yeah, if one makes a mistake, I always say in Europe, one makes a mistake, and there you go. I mean, doing something against Russia, the wrong button, and that's it. And I think we are now not 5 to 12, I think 1 minute to 12 or something, because it's so dangerous. We know that. I mean, they don't know what they are doing. And I think also President Putin said that one day, what they are doing. Do they know what they can cause with all this rhetoric? So I hope, I sincerely hope that they will be removed in the EU, and that the US will get a normal government as well, a real government for the people, and not Zionist clubs or whatever clubs you have. Stop with all this madness. But for now, it's very dangerous, and it's very dangerous for mankind. The situation we are in, and people also. The other part is artificial intelligence. If you look at the internet, it's crazy. If you look at YouTube, I don't look at YouTube anymore. Sometimes when I think, oh yeah, I remember this documentary from this and this date, I will look it up. But there's so much fake news, so much fake news. It's unbelievable. And I think AI, it's a bubble. It's a big bubble, because I did some experiment. I looked up my own name, and I did it a few times, and every time it comes up with something different. So, and if you implement this in YouTube videos, or I don't know, maybe articles, they do it as well these days, then yeah, you have crazy stuff coming out, and people believe it. And this is the
Yeah.
whole problem. And I think it's the same with war, US, Europe. It's a very crucial time we are living in. It's like the dark ages of AI, dark ages of internet, and so on.
Let's end on a positive note. Again, from the perspective of living in Russia. And the positive note is this. Today is December 23rd. Tomorrow, for Western Christians, is Christmas Eve. The 25th is Christmas. I know that this season in Russia, even though the Russian Christmas is Orthodox Christmas is January 7th, all the preparations have been made now for several weeks. I know that Russia is almost like an amusement park. There are decorations everywhere. There are Christmas trees everywhere. It's a very festive mood. It's the same thing here in Crimea and where I live in Yalta. We were just out walking about the other day, and there are little shops selling Christmas trees and ornaments and all kinds of Christmas type gifts. It's a very festive mood here. Based on what you and I have been talking about for the last almost an hour, which is doom and death and destruction, here in Russia, there's none of that. It's still very festive, very normal. Would you agree? And do you want to conclude with that thought?
Yes, I do. Yesterday I was at Red Square, and you have Christmas market, and yeah, beautiful decorations, as you said, and people are happy walking around with their children and playing in the things, and eating, drinking glühwein they have from Europe. So ice skating. I think it's good that we have this. That because what I said, a lot of things we hear and see is fake. So we should continue our life, and I think life is good in Russia. That's what I'm experiencing, and I think you too there in Yalta. And let the people talk. Let the people talk on their YouTube videos and their doom and gloom every day. And the world is going to end in 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. I mean, our world is tomorrow still, and I think people are happy here, and yeah, I think a lot of people also, I must say, in the US and Europe don't understand anything about Russia, who were not here, who were never here. They just speak about it, and this is also tragic, of course, but people are happy here. And yesterday I had a very nice afternoon, and the people, yeah, continue their life, and this is how it should be. And maybe it's a bit extra with decorations this year because everybody knows, special military operation. Maybe soldiers die on the front, their husbands, their fathers, but we must continue and go on. And let's hope that somehow 2026 will bring somehow something of peace or capitulation of Ukraine.
Sonja, thank you so much. It's great to see you again. I want to wish you a very, very happy Christmas season, both the Western Christmas and the Orthodox Christmas in January 7th. Thank you so much for providing your insight.
Thank you too, Regis, and wishing you too a Merry Christmas and both Christmases, and of course a Happy New Year. Let's hope a peaceful year we have, and continue our lives here in Russia.